Part 4, Chapters 3 and 4 of Charles Rex by Ethel M. Dell. This recording is in the public domain. 3. A wife is different. "Has he gone?" said Toby eagerly. She came into the room with a swift glance around. "What did he say? What did he do? Was he angry?" "I really don't know," Saltash said, supremely unconcerned. "He went. That's the main thing." Toby looked at him critically. "You were so quiet, both of you. Was there a row?" "Were you listening?" said Saltash. She colored and smiled disarmingly. "Part of the time. No, all the time. But I didn't hear anything, at least not much. Nothing that mattered. Are you angry?" He frowned upon her, but his eyes reassured. "I told you to smoke a cigarette." "I'm sorry," said Toby meekly. "Shall I smoke one now?" He pinched her ear. "No. We'll go out. You've got to shop. First, though, I've got something for you. I'm not sure you deserve it, but that's a detail. Few of us ever do get our deserts in this naughty world." "What is it?" said Toby. Her bright eyes questioned him. She looked more than ever like an eager boy. He pulled a leather case out of his pocket and held it out to her. "Oh, what is it?" she said, and colored more deeply. "You haven't been buying me things." "Open it," said Saltash, with regal peremptoriness. But still she hesitated, till he suddenly laid his hands on hers and compelled her. She saw a single string of pearls on a bed of blue velvet. Her eyes came up to his in quick distress. "Oh, I ought not to take them," she said. "And why not?" She bit her lip almost as if she would burst into tears. "Monseigneur." "Call me Charles," he commanded. His hand still held hers. She dropped her eyes to them, and suddenly, very suddenly, she bent her head and kissed them. He started slightly, and in a moment he set her free, leaving the case in her hold. "Eh bien," he said lightly, "that is understood. You like my pearls, Cherie?" "I love anything that comes from you," she made low reply. But these, I ought not to take these." "But why not?" he questioned. "May I not make you a present? Are you not my wife?" "Yes," more faintly came Toby's answer. But a wife is different. A wife does not need presents." "Mais vraiment!" protested Saltash. "So a wife is different? How different, mignonne?" He tried to look into the downcast eyes, but she would not raise them. She was trembling a little. "Such things as these," she said under her breath, "are what a man would give to the woman he loves." "And so you think they are unsuitable for my wife?" questioned Saltash, with a whimsical look on his dark face. She did not answer him, only mutely held out the case, still without looking at him. He stood for a second or two watching her, an odd flame coming and going in his eyes. Then abruptly he moved, picked up the pearls from their case, straightened them dexterously, and clasped them about her neck. She lifted her face then, quivering and irresolute, to his. "And I can give you nothing," she said. He took her lightly by the shoulders, as one who caresses a child. "Ma cherie, you have given me already much more than you realize. But we will not go into that now. We will go to the shops. Afterwards we will go out to Fontainebleau and picnic in the forest. You will like that?" "Oh, so much!" she said with enthusiasm. Yet there was a puzzled look of pain in her eyes as she turned away, and though she wore his pearls, she made no further reference to them. They went forth into the streets of Paris, and Toby shopped. At first she was shy, halting here and hesitating there, till Saltash, looking on careless and debonair, made it abundantly evident that whatever she desired she was to have; and then like a child on a holiday she flung aside all indecision, and became eager and animated. So absorbed was she that she took no note of the passage of time, and was horrified when at length he called her attention to the fact that it was close upon the luncheon hour. "And you must be so tired of it all," she said with compunction. "Not in the least," he assured her airily between puffs of his cigarette. "It has been a new experience for me." Her eyes challenged him for a moment, and he laughed. "Mais oui, madame. I protest. A new experience. I feel I am doing my duty." "And it doesn't bore you?" questioned Toby, with a tilt of the chin. His look kindled a little. "If we were on board the old Night Moth, you'd have had a cuff for that," he remarked. "I wish we were," she said daringly. He flicked his fingers. "You're very young, Nonette." She shook her head with vehemence. "I'm not. I'm not. I'm only pretending. Can't you see?" He laughed jestingly. "You have never deceived me yet, ma chère. Not once, from the moment I found you shivering in my cabin, up to the present. You couldn't if you tried." Toby's blue eyes suddenly shone with a hot light. "So sure of that?" she said quickly. "You read me so easily?" "Like a book," said Saltash, with an arrogance but half assumed. "I cheated you once," she said, breathing sharply. "And I caught you," said Saltash. Only because I meant you to," said Toby under her breath. He raised his brows in momentary surprise, and in a flash she laughed and clapped her hands. "I had you there, King Charles. You see you are but a man after all." He gave her a swift and piercing glance. "And what are you?" he said. Her eyes fell swiftly before his look. She made no reply. They returned to the hotel and lunched together. The incident of the morning seemed to be forgotten. Jake's name was not once mentioned between them. Toby was full of gaiety. The prospect of the run to Fontainebleau evidently filled her with delight. She joined Saltash in the vestibule after the meal, clad in a light blue wrap they had purchased that morning. He went to meet her, a quick gleam in his eyes; and a man to whom he had been talking, a slim, foreign-looking man with black moustache and imperial, turned sharply and gave her a hard stare. Toby's chin went up. She looked exclusively at Saltash. Her bearing at that moment was that of a princess. "The car is ready?" she questioned. "Shall we go?" "By all means," said Saltash. He nodded a careless farewell to the other man, and followed her, a smile twitching at his lips, the gleam still in his eyes. "That man is Spentoli, the sculptor," he said, as he handed her into the car. "A genius, Nonette. I should have presented him to you if you had not been so haughty." "I hate geniuses," said Toby briefly. He laughed at her. "Mais vraiment? How many have you known?" She considered for a moment, and finally decided that the question did not require an answer. Saltash took the wheel and spun the little car round with considerable dexterity. "Yes, a genius," he said. "One of the most wonderful of the age. His work is amazing, scarcely human. He paints, too. All Paris raves over his work, with reason. His picture, 'The Victim'" he looked at her suddenly. "What is the matter, chérie? Is the sun too strong for you?" Toby's hand was shielding her eyes. Her lips were trembling. "Don't wait," she murmured. "Don't wait. Let's get away. I am all right. Just a little giddy, that's all." He took her at her word and sent the car swiftly forward. They passed out into the crowded thoroughfare, and in a moment or two Toby leaned back, gazing before her with a white, set face. Saltash asked no question. He did not even look at her, concentrating all his attention upon the task of extricating himself as swiftly as possible from the crush of vehicles around them. It was a day of perfect autumn, and Paris lay basking in sunshine; but Saltash was a rapid traveller at all times, and it was not long before Paris was left behind. But even when free from the traffic he did not speak or turn towards his companion, merely gave himself to the task of covering the ground as quickly as possible. In the end it was Toby who spoke, abruptly, boyishly. "By Jingo, you can drive!" Saltash's face showed its own elastic grin. "You like this?" "Rather," said Toby with enthusiasm. She threw off her silence and plunged forthwith into careless chatter; a mood to which he responded with the utmost readiness. When at length they ran into the shade of the forest they were both in the highest spirits. They had their tea in a mossy glade out of sight of the road. The sun was beginning to slant. Its rays fell in splashes of golden green all about them. "Just the place for a duel," said Saltash appreciatively. "Have you ever fought a duel?" Toby looked at him over the picnic basket with eyes of sparkling interest. She had thrown aside her hat, and her fair hair gleamed as if it gave forth light. Saltash leaned his shoulders against a tree and watched her. "I have never fought to kill," he said. "Honor is too easily satisfied in this country. Though, after all," his smile was suddenly provocative, "there are very few things worth fighting for, Nonette." Her eyes flashed their ready challenge. "Life being too short already?" she suggested. "Even so," said Charles Rex, coolly. Toby abruptly bent her head and muttered something into the picnic basket. "What?" said Saltash. She pulled out a parcel of cakes and tossed them on the ground. "Nothing," she said. He leaned forward unexpectedly as she foraged for more, and gripped the small brown hand. "Tell me what you said," he commanded. She flung him a look half frightened, half daring. "I said there was only one cup." She would have released her hand with the words, but his fingers tightened like a spring. "Pardonnez moi, that was not what you said." She became passive in his hold, but she said nothing. "Tell me what you said," Saltash said again. A little tremor went through Toby. "Can we do with only one cup?" she asked, not looking at him, her eyelids flickering nervously. "Going to answer me?" said Saltash. She shook her head, and was silent. He waited for perhaps 10 seconds, and in that time a variety of different expressions showed and vanished on his ugly face. Then, just as Toby was beginning to tremble in real trepidation, he suddenly set her free. "We have drunk out of the same glass before now," he said. "We can do it again." She looked at him then, relief and doubt struggling together in her eyes. "Are you angry?" she said. His answering look baffled her. "No," he said. She laid a conciliatory hand upon his arm. "You are. I am sure you are." "I am not," said Saltash. "Then why aren't you?" demanded Toby with sudden spirit. The monkeyish grin leapt into his face. "Because I know what you said," he told her coolly. "It is not easy, you will never find it easy, to deceive me." She snatched her hand away. Her face was on fire. "I said you did not make the most of life," she flung at him. "And it's true. You don't. You don't." "How do you know that?" said Saltash. She did not answer him. Her head was bent over the basket. She threw out one thing after another with nervous rapidity, and once, as he watched her, there came a faint sound that was like a hastily suppressed sob. Saltash got to his feet with disconcerting suddenness and walked away. When he returned some minutes later with a half smoked cigarette between his lips, she was sitting demurely awaiting him, the picnic ready spread. He scarcely looked at her, but flicked her cheek as he sat down, and in a moment she turned and smiled at him. "I have found another cup," she said. "So I see," said Saltash, and before she could realize his mood, he picked it up and flung it at the trunk of a tree some yards away. It shivered in fragments on the moss, and Toby gasped and stared at him wide-eyed. He laughed in his careless fashion at her amazement. "Now we shall drink out of one cup," he said. Was that why you did it?" she stammered breathlessly. He blew a cloud of smoke into the air with a gesture of royal indifference. "Even so, madame," he said. "One does these things with a wife. You see, a wife is different." I see," said Toby. 4. The Idol of Paris. It was dark when they returned to the hotel, but Paris shone with a million lights. The hotel itself had a festive air. There were flowers in all directions, and a red carpet had been laid upon the steps. "Roselle Daubeny is expected," said Saltash. "Who?" Toby stopped short in the act of descending. Her face shone white in the glare. A moment before she had been laughing, but the laugh went into her question with a little choked sound. "Who did you say?" she questioned more coherently. "Mademoiselle Daubeny, the idol of Paris. Never heard of her?" Saltash handed her lightly down. "She is coming to a dance in the great salon to night. You shall see her. She is a thing to remember." Toby gave a quick shiver. "Yes, I have heard of her too much Too much. I don't want to see her. Shall we dine upstairs?" "Oh, I think not," said Saltash, with decision. "You are too retiring, ma chère. It doesn't become a lady of your position." He followed her towards the lift. The vestibule was full of people, laughing and talking, awaiting the coming of the favourite. But as the girl in her blue cloak went through, a sudden hush fell. Women lifted glasses to look at her, and men turned to watch. Saltash sauntered behind her in his regal way, looking neither to right nor left, yet fully aware of all he passed. No one accosted him. There were times when even those who knew him well would have hesitated to do so. He could surround himself with an atmosphere so suavely impersonal as to be quite impenetrable to all. It surrounded him now. He walked like a king through a crowd of courtiers, and the buzz of talk did not spring up again till he was out of sight. "So you do not want to see la première danseuse du siècle," he commented, as he entered the sitting room of their suite behind Toby. She turned, blue eyes wide with protest in her white face. "Do you wish me to see her, my lord? That woman?" He frowned upon her suddenly. "Call me Charles. Do you hear? We will play this game according to rule, or not at all." "You are angry," Toby said, and turned still whiter. He came to her, thrust a quick arm about her. "I am not angry, mignonne, at least not with you. But you must take your proper place. I can't keep you in hiding here. Those gaping fools downstairs, they have got to understand. You are not my latest whim, but a permanent institution. You are my wife." She shivered in his hold, but she clung to him. "I don't feel like a permanent institution," she told him rather piteously. "And when you are angry—" "I am not angry," said Saltash, and tweaked her ear as though she had been a boy. "But, whether you feel like it or not, you are my wife, and you have got to play the part. C'est entendu, n'est-ce pas?" "Whatever you wish," said Toby faintly. He set her free. "You must look your best to night. Wear blue. It is your colour. I shall present Spentoli to you. And to morrow he will want to paint you." Toby stiffened. "That canaille?" she said. He looked at her in surprise. "What is the matter with you to night, Nonette? You are hating all the world." Her blue eyes blazed. "I don't want to meet Spentoli," she said. "He has an evil eye. I look to you to protect me." "My good child," said Saltash. He turned aside to light a cigarette, and there was a pause. But Toby still stood rigid, as it were on guard. He spoke again after a moment, and his voice was kind, though it had a certain dominant quality also. "Nonette, you need not be afraid when you are with me. I shall protect you. Now go and dress. When you are ready, come to me for inspection. And remember, you are to look your best to night." He turned with the last words and looked at her. His brows went up as he realized her attitude, the tense resistance of the slight figure withstanding him. But it was only for a moment or two that the girl maintained her stand. At sight of the look that leaped to his eyes her own were swiftly lowered. She drew back from him. "I will do whatever you wish," she said again, nervously. "You know that." "Yes, I know that," said Saltash, with his quick grimace. "You have my sympathy, Nonette. Now go, ma chère, go." She went from his presence like a small hunted animal. Saltash shrugged his shoulders and sauntered down again to the vestibule. The crowd had grown. They were watching the great entrance door expectantly for the coming of the celebrated dancer. Saltash called for a drink and mingled with the throng. The Italian, Spentoli, came up presently and joined him. "I am hoping," he said, "that you will presently give me the great honour of presenting me to your bride." Saltash looked at him. Spentoli was one of the very few men for whom he entertained respect. The Italian's work had always held an immense attraction for his artistic soul, and he had never troubled to disguise the fact. "My wife is young and shy," he said after a moment. "I will present you some day, Spentoli, but it may not be yet." "This is her first visit to Paris?" questioned Spentoli. "Not her first. But she does not know Paris well." Saltash spoke carelessly. I am not showing her everything at once. I think that is a mistake." "That is true," agreed Spentoli. "The freshness of youth is gone all too soon. But she will be superbly beautiful in a few years' time. Will you permit me to congratulate you on the excellence of your choice?" Saltash grimaced. "Do we ever choose?" he said. "Do we not rather receive gifts as the gods send us, in more or less of a grudging spirit?" Spentoli smiled. "I did not think you would marry one so young," he said. "She has the athletic look of a boy. She reminds me " "Of a picture called 'The Victim,' by one Spentoli." Saltash's voice was suave. "A cruel picture, mon ami, but of an amazing merit. I have seen the likeness also. Where did you get it?" The Italian was still smiling, but his eyes were wary. "From a little circus rider in California," he said. "A child, an imp of a child, astonishingly clever, a wisp of inspiration. Yes, a girl, of course, but she had all the lines of a boy, the perfect limbs of an athlete. I took her from her circus. I should have paid her well had she remained with me. But before the picture was finished she was tired. She was a little serpent, wily and wicked. One day we had a small discussion in my studio oh, quite a small discussion and she stuck her poison fang into me and fled." Spentoli's teeth gleamed through his black mustache. "I do not like these serpent women," he said. "When I meet her again it will be my turn to strike." "Our turn so seldom comes," said Saltash lazily, his eyes wandering to the door. "Mademoiselle Rosel, for instance, would hold her own against any of us." "Ah, Rosel!" Spentoli's face changed magically. "But she is beautiful, and without venom. A rose without a thorn." Saltash's mouth twitched mockingly. "And without a heart also," he suggested. "She is all heart," cried Spentoli, with flashing eyes. Saltash laughed aloud. "That also is sometimes the drawback, mon ami. I gather she is the attraction who has drawn you here." "She draws all the world," said Spentoli. And with that he sprang to his feet, for there was a general stir in the vestibule, such as might herald the coming of a queen. In a moment the buzz of voices died down and a great silence fell. Saltash remained seated, a certain arrogance in his pose, though his eyes also watched the door. There came the sound of a laugh, a clear, ringing laugh, childishly, irresistibly gay; and a figure in blue came in through the marble pillars. As a queen they had prepared for her, and as a queen she entered, a being so exquisite, so goddess like, that every breath was drawn in wonder. She looked around her with eyes that shone like sapphires. Her red lips were parted. She had the expectant look of girlhood, yet her beauty had a quality unknown to youth. And it was to that quality, almost unknown to himself, that Saltash did homage as he rose. Her look flashed across to him, comprehended his action, and laughed open triumph. Then, with a suddenness almost too swift to follow, she turned to a man who had entered behind her and softly spoke. Saltash's eyes went to the man, and he drew a low whistle between his teeth. It was well known that Rosel d'Aubigny never travelled without an escort. But this man! He was tall and broad, and he carried himself with a supreme contempt for his fellow men. He did not look at Saltash, did not apparently even see the hushed crowd that hung upon every movement of that wonderful woman creature who took the world by storm wherever she went. He was superbly indifferent to his surroundings, gazing straight before him with the eyes of a Viking who searches the far horizon. He walked with the free swing of a pirate. And as the woman turned her dazzling face towards him, it was plain to all that she saw none but him in that vast and crowded place. He was by her side as they moved forward, and they saw her lightly touch his arm with an intimate gesture, as though they were alone. Then the whole throng broke into acclamations, and the spell was broken. She saw them all again, and laughed her gracious thanks. The great hall rang with their greeting as she passed through, but no one sought to detain her, and she did not pause. Later she would give them all they desired, but her moment had not arrived. So she went on to the great curving staircase, side by side with her fair bearded Viking, still laughing like a happy child who looks for the morrow. As she rounded the curve of the stair, she snatched a red rose from her breast, and threw it down to her worshippers below. It was aimed at Saltash, but it fell before Spentoli, and he caught and held it with wild adoration leaping in his eyes. As he pressed it to his lips he was sobbing. "Mon ami," said Saltash's voice behind him, maliciously humorous, "you have stolen my property. But since I have no use for it, you may keep it." Spentoli looked at him with burning eyes. "Ah, you may laugh," he said in a fierce undertone. "You are without a soul." "Isn't it better to laugh?" queried Saltash. "Did you expect a blow in the face?" Spentoli glared for a moment, and recovered himself. "Do you know what they are saying of her?" he said. "They say that she is dying. But it is not true not true. Such a beauty as that, such a loveliness, could never die." The cynical lines in Saltash's face deepened very perceptibly. He shrugged his shoulders, and said nothing. "Who is the man with her?" demanded Spentoli. "I have never seen him before. The man with the face of a Dane. Do you know him?" "Yes, I know him," said Saltash. "Then who is he? Some new lover?" There was suppressed eagerness in the question. Spentoli's eyes were smouldering again. Saltash was looking supremely ironical. "Perhaps new," he said. "More likely very old. His name is Larpent, and he is the captain of my yacht." End of Part 4, Chapters 3 and 4.